a picture here. So if it's about it, well, at least myself right now. What's up? Got out here a little bit later than I expected. Had to eat and whatnot. What's up, Craig? What's up, Robert? And I got a lot done today, and almost none of it was knife making. What's up, Jeff? I've been working on getting the other shop up and running. I say up and running. I guess I could say broken down so that I can then get it up and running. So, all the people that are in here right now are gonna see this. So, this is only the stuff that I have left in here to go through. There's like a bunch of other working stuff, but everything is off the walls, cleaned up. The walls are all cleaned up. That's an old 2x72 that I was building. Everything's all clean. The floors are all clean. I'm going to be pulling down these two panels of, what's up, Danny? These two panels of pegboard, those two panels of pegboard. Those might stay. I haven't decided yet, but that's getting sheetrocked. That's getting sheetrocked. I've got this bench over here ready. I'm building another bench over here. It's going to stop right about where that transition between those two colors. So there's going to be a bench for that. I've already got wood and all the stuff that I need. There's the 2x4s right there for the top of this workbench and the legs. So I'm going to have that all set up. I got to go get the wood cut for this. If y'all didn't know this, you can easily go to Lowe's and just have them cut the wood for you. So if you get yourself your measurements and all that stuff, you can go to Lowe's and have them cut everything down. What's up, Duck Rabbit? So yeah, that's typically what I do. I'll go and I'll have them rip down 4x8 sheets to the size of the counter that I need. It's the same thing I did with that workbench right there. Just had it ripped down to the size that I needed, and then went ahead and just, cut it down to what I needed. So I added this rack here. Got a whole bunch of stuff put on it from the other shop. I got more stuff shifted over here. I've got a few more of my tools, my scroll saws down in here now. A lot of that stuff's going to end up getting shifted back to the other shop. It's going to get shifted back to the other shop, and move this a little bit further back into the forge real quick. This is a big chunk of 5160. We're going to be upsetting quite a bit of steel because the handle on this, I've got to forge basically about 2.25 inches of steel down to handle profile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to forge down and forge. I'm going to forge it down to be the size of roughly around a handle profile, just enough to where I can grab it with the other tongs that I have. And my neighbors hear me. So anyways, I've got this heating up. Figured I'd show y'all that thing over there. I'm going to go ahead and build the workbench. I've got to put up some sheetrock, do some painting, and all that. And yeah, it's a little spicy right there. But yeah, we're going to use the tongs that I made to actually work with this particular 5160. I made these a long time ago out of like some Harbor Freight nippers, and it fits the steel that I'm working with perfectly. I made them specifically for this piece of steel. All right. This is going to be kind of interesting because we'll see if this even actually works with this one now. Got too much of a point. What's up, y'all? Got too much of a point on there, but you can see what I'm talking about. That's a big piece of steel. And yeah, it'd be a lot easier if I guess I was working on the other side. Maybe if I use. Out on just this one, and we'll see. I don't typically like using these particular tongs whenever I'm forging something down this way because I've smacked myself in the face right across the nose with a piece of hot steel, and it sucked. So I can be pretty safe when it comes to this. But because I have this angle ground into this, I think it's going to be fine the way that I'm going to hold it. So this is going to be the larger version of this knife right here. So we're going to be forging a larger version of this. This is my medium size EDC that I'm making right now. I'm going to make one that's just slightly larger than that. Handle's going to come back just a hair further. Blade's going to come out just a little bit further. And it's going to be kind of like a camp knife size version of this. I always wonder what my neighbors are thinking whenever I'm out here talking to the phone. To get it down just a little bit. So once I get that piece down just enough, I'll be able to use my other tongs and call it done. Boing, boing, boing. Yeah, that's pretty much what happens. Especially whenever you start forging in those corners a little bit, and it gets a little kind of like a belly to it, you'll start hitting, and if you don't hit it exactly right, it just wants to go yoop, 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 like a little seesaw. Those other tongs would have been perfect if I was forging from the other side, I guess. You could flip it around. I don't know. At least now it's getting hot faster. Like this. in there. This is a quarter-inch thick piece of 5160 that is 2¼ inches tall. So 1/4 inch by 2¼ inch, and it's a lot. I typically take these pieces of steel and I forge them into swords. So yeah. Yeah, and I like to do that too if I have the right tongs for it. So whenever I go through and start isolating sections with these particular tongs, it's going to be a nightmare. As soon as I start forging on that edge, there's a chance that it can fly out on me. So you got to be careful of doing that with this. And basically what I'm doing is I'm going to be forging this down the whole entire way before I actually start forging just the handle section and all that. I'm going to be forging it down to only about, let's see here, to about 1 3/4 inches. So I need to get the whole entire thing down to about 1 3/4 inches, and then we'll start isolating and doing all that. Some OG. Got random bugs flying around over here. That in, might as well get a little bit of length out of it. So sometimes I'll like to forge this section in before I do the live stream. That wasn't going to happen today. Yeah, and luckily these tongs do really good because you get a lot of force being able to hold them all the way back here. Not many things can jump out of that, but the next few sets of tongs that I'm going to have made, I'm going to have a whole bunch of these made. Easily my favorite style of tongs right here. I'm going to have a whole bunch of them made and a whole bunch of different widths, so that I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go all the way up to like as big as people can make them. Especially when you're working with a lot of knife steel, those tongs right there are absolutely awesome. Yeah, no, definitely don't want to get another nose scar. Oh, hey, Mule, I was watching Elijah Fire Creek Forge video today, and he answered one of your questions on there. So if you haven't watched this video yet, he says your name, the whole Mule Power Forge, and talks about your question. So typically whenever y'all see me, again, forge with this particular steel, I'm doing it in a video and it's time lapsed, like 2.5 to 3 times. This is stuff that's not easy to move. Out of all the 5160 that I use, this is old school forward leaf springs, and it's awesome because this stuff right here, 5160, there's like tests that people have done where they can't get above 65 HRC after the quench, and this stuff after it's quenched, you could file a 65 HRC file with this, as opposed to filing this with the 65 HRC file. That's how hard it is. You can sit there and you can shave steel with it, and it doesn't even phase this. It's ridiculous. Go down about a 1/2 inch. We can use the other tongs. I'm not pushing it too far, too fast. I just want to just work with it. And forging this profile is not going to be too crazy, not too difficult. But you don't want to push it too fast. You don't want to forge this stuff cold. You won't do anything to it. It's not worth forging once it starts losing heat. Have you ever heard of Desktop Goose? One of the notepads it can pull out is a text art of a duck rabbit. Yeah, point, duck rabbit forge. That makes sense. Ken's Custom Iron has the box jaw tongs. Cheap. Yeah, I'm gonna have most likely just have them made, just because I like supporting other people who make stuff within the knife community, and if they make them, I just would prefer to buy them from them and then be able to shout them out on the channel. Give a little bit of focus on their particular, job and company, and make sure we share the wealth. 20 pounds worth of that stuff. It's amazing. Yep. Memory, what kind of quenching oils? 5160. What's up, Nas Templar? The old podcast. We're going to be recording our next podcast on Friday. That puts Goose on your screen. Yeah. So for 5160, I use it's actually down here. I use 120 degree peanut oil. I could use, you can quench 5160 and AAA. I've seen people quench it in Parks 50. I've seen people quench it in diesel. So you can quench it in a lot of different quenchants, oils, but I use peanut oil because I've done a lot of tests with the peanut oil. And that's what I trust because I've forged and heat treated like over 100 knives with this particular 5160, and I've tested a lot of them, and I've had customers test a lot of them. But typically, people are going to say AAA or Parks 50. instead of coming in and forging it back flat with a regular hammer, I went ahead and used the cross peen and forged in a whole bunch of divots in there. That way, whenever we're forging, it's pushing it out. You can see how much we were able to push out just with that. Because we might as well draw out a little bit of length instead of coming back in once we forge it like this, and we make if you're looking at it this way, there's the top, there's the bottom of it. You end up getting an eye because you're mushrooming out the top and the bottom, and so it comes down like this, looks like a little I-beam. Instead of taking that material and forging it with the flat side of your hammer, you want to do something, whether you're going to be doing it with the round side of your hammer or your cross beam or something like that. That way you can draw it out as opposed to pushing it right back to where you just got done forging it from. A lot of people waste a lot of energy going through and they'll forge it down and then they'll start forging it flat. And in the process of forging it flat, you push it almost right back out to where it was. Especially if you're forging in finger choils. So if you're forging in finger choils, you'll see yourself come in with a straight peen or a cross peen and start profiling that finger choil, and it mushrooms out the steel. And then you go through and you start forging it back flat, and it pushes your finger choil back out. A lot of that's the reason why it happens. Hard that already is. Still has heat in it and it's already that hard. You can hear it shift from being soft, going bump, bump whenever you're hitting it, to tink, tink, tink. As soon as it switches to that noise, you know you need to get it back in the fire because it's not really doing anything. But we're about down to where I want it to be. So what we'll end up doing is we'll grab the other tongs, and then we're gonna do probably one more heat or two more heats with the end of this like this, and then we'll grab the other tongs and we'll start forging the blade section down a little bit, and then we'll come in and we'll forge the shoulder where the heel's going into the finger well. Eric, have you ever thought about what you're doing with Viking Challenge? Yeah, oh yeah, I've already got all that planned out. So I'm going to be doing a sword, of course, just because all the stuff that I want to do to it wouldn't fit in a regular like sax knife or something like that. So I'm going to do a sword. I've got a profile that I want to do that looks awesome, and I'm going to be using wrought iron for, it's actually right there, that wrought iron from a wagon wheel for the guard and the butt cap, and then I'm going to etch it real long so that it has some really good striations going through it. It looks super cool whenever you etch that stuff really long. And then I've got a beautiful piece of wood that's going to be for the handle. I say a beautiful piece of wood. It's bog oak, but it's nice. It's got a good color to it, nice and dark. But I'm also going to take that bog oak and I'm going to wire wheel it after I get done profiling it and sanding it. I'm going to wire wheel it, and it will take some of the grain out, so it'll look like it's textured. So you're going to have the texture of the guard, texture of the butt cap, and then the texture of the handle, and I'm going to have some awesome textures on the blade. And then, of course, I'm going to be doing, I guess I could just tell y'all, I'm going to be doing a fuller, not with the machine, and then I'm going to be doing some runes on it. That should be enough of the lengthening process. So I'll go ahead and I'll forge that flat, put a little bit of a step to where exactly I want to be, thickness or height on that area. That's going to be the butt of the handle. And then we'll grab the other tongs, go ahead and start forging the roughly blade profile. And y'all know how I like to do it. I do rough profile on the blade, and then I go through forge the handle the rest of the way, and then I go back and I finish the profile on the blade and then finish smoothing the handle. Let's see here. And guys, I don't even know what I'm gonna make yet. Yeah, I have to do that, because if not, I'm doing everything last minute. And I had a design for the Samurai Challenge like way before I started the build that I made, but I designed like 5 different things, and none of them really just made me feel like, okay, this is the thing I want to make, until I started making that sword. And whenever I finished that sword, I was like, this is why, and I love it. The last long knife, D-guard sword was wicked. Yeah, I love doing longer blades. I don't, like, of course I have a whole lot of EDCs that are smaller things, just because those are more, what people tend to buy off the website is my EDCs more than my swords and whatnot. But yeah, I like making the swords better. Mine's out of a 1x2x6 block of A2. Yeah, so I get, well, I kind of want to show you. Okay, so I've got 2 things that I'm deciding between. I've got a piece of steel that is a piece of 5160, but I also have this stuff. And I thought about using it going into the guard, but this is I think it's pretty sure it's 1084. Yeah, 1084. For Maritime Knife Supply, hexagonal. 48 inches of this stuff. There's going to be a lot of integrals made out of this, where I'm going to take it, I'm going to forge this down to smaller, and this is going to be the actual integral bolster section. We're going to forge the blades down, all that stuff. This is going to be fun. But I want to do this into a guard, so that whenever I forge it, I leave this as the ricasso, and then forge the blade out and have this bump into the guard and have it come off from there. I think it'll look really unique. aluminum knife supply on that Lawrence Lake. So now, we fit these tongs like a glove. Now we can go ahead and get crazy with it. Get crazy tasty. I'm making a larger sacks, brass bolster, cottonwood for the handle. That would look absolutely awesome. Are you going to be doing mono steel, Steve, or are you going to do Damascus or Sandmire or something like that? So your surface grinder's coming from Airtime. Nice. Got to head to work. Hey, have a great night, Jason. Thank you for coming and hanging out. We got to heat up the blade side of this. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that this Viking challenge is nice because there's a lot of people that can do something with Viking. The hard part with some of the challenges that we do is trying to, I wouldn't say fit the parameters or anything like that, but you know, the samurai challenge, if you were trying to make a katana, katanas are not easy, and saxes aren't super easy either. If you do it the way that I'm doing it, I'm doing a through tang all the way back, because if you're going to make a sword and you're going to make a hidden tang, you might as well make it a through tang. And I'm going to be doing, but I think that the Viking challenge opens it up to pretty much everybody. All right, we're going to get this steel back out. Go ahead and start forging the blade section. So now I can get pretty aggressive with it now that I have these tongs. We'll have it down to the blade height here on this next heat. Then what we're going to go ahead and do is where that comes down and has that sharp angle, kind of like a tanto, we're going to round that, and this is going to be the spine. When we start forging the cutting edge, we're going to bring that back up this way so that cutting edge has the same steel all the way through it, as opposed to trying to forge that area where we cut off. Kind of particular about the grain of the steel. this down a little bit more. Still going to come down a little bit further than that. So, wouldn't mind seeing more axes. I know quite a bit of people are going to be doing axes, battle axes and things like that. So, you'll be able to see those. Got big plans for the challenge because both the last two challenges I participated were the best thing. Heck yeah! So that right there is absolutely awesome. That's the way that we love these challenges. You know, we want them to be that way. That way it pushes people to do crazier things and just have a blast doing it. Now, a lot of people made awesome stuff for the viewer section of this particular challenge. Man, people just made some crazy awesome things. Get a little bit hotter this time than it was on this last little forging thing that we did, this last little session. I want to try and compress it quite a bit on this particular one, on this step here. Perfect, because we're already at almost the length that I need. The way that I'm going to do this, whatever, I guess, overall length that I get this is going to be the size of the ones that I do moving forward. So I've got like a simple profile drawn on the anvil on the top of here with a little bit of an extension of the previous medium-sized profile. So if this blade ends up being 2 inches longer, then that's the way that I'll make it moving forward. I'll tell you, this right here is where a press or a power hammer comes into play. Because having to do all this by hand, pain in the butt. So you might be making a sax. That'd be pretty cool. Again, I just wanted to do a sword because I've got a particular profile that I want to forge, and I've already done a sax sword. This one's going to be quite a bit different. Switch over, draw all this out. Do that a couple of times. Again, I I'm switching between the two hammers because I'm trying to get as much length as I can while I'm doing the flattening section. And the cool thing is, while you're forging and you're getting your profile all set up, you can make this piece of steel as ugly as possible. Doesn't matter. You can literally bend it all kinds of different directions, because as you clean up the profile and as you planish and do all that stuff, it'll correct everything. But feel free to just beat the heck out of it right now. Get the profile roughly where you want to get it, and then clean it up. You got a lot of people that will sit there and they'll forge down, planish, 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 forge down, planish. And you waste a lot of energy planishing it every single time you go through and you forge the profile. It's a pain in the butt. Just a hint for those competing, Vikings use shields too. That's cool. I'm interested to see what JPT Forging does. He's the one that made the spear on this last challenge, and he made the Wolverine claw gauntlet thing. He does armor smithing, like blacksmithing and armor smithing. It would be really cool to see what he makes. A shield would be absolutely awesome. All right. Draw it out a little bit more. It's not super pretty, but even with a cross beam like that, you can get it pretty straight. But that just drew out. Just by doing the last two heats, we probably got about 3/4 of an inch of length out of this piece of steel. Whew. Spicy out here already. It's only like 70 degrees or 60 degrees outside. If you're halfway through and it looks good, yeah, you're doing it wrong. This is true. Preface on like, so if you're just tempering the spine, is that what you're talking about? Like doing a bluing the spine back? What do you mean, Steve? Preference to temper back too? Oh, just like what I would temper heat-wise and time-wise on this? Or what do you mean? Yeah. On a lot of these, it depends on the HRC that the knife came out of the quench at. I'll temper based on that. So if it came out and it's skating a 65 file, I'll probably, on a lot of these knives, because this is going to be more of a camp knife, I'll probably temper this one at the 400 degrees for 2 hours times 2. But like the smaller EDCs that I made, those edges are all about 63 HRC after the temper. So those only had like 300 degree tempers on them. 300 degrees for 2 hours. Once, not twice. So one 300 degree temper. And then sometimes I'll even do 250 degrees. It's good to still temper. But let's say your blade only came out at skating a 60 file, but not a 65. You might temper it back at a lower heat, but if it's skating a 65 might temper it back at a higher heat. Some people on some stills will temper it all the way at 500 degrees for 2 hours to get it down to where they want. Come down, narrow it just a little bit more. So I should be able to come in and start forging in from the tip back and start profiling it, and by default it'll start bringing that width in as I start upsetting that. So on this next heat we'll start really profiling that tip, and as I bring that back I'm going to pull that down, the belly that is. What's up, Hank Spud? How you doing tonight? We still probably got about another 40 minutes left in this, so plenty of time to come in and hang out. And of course, like I say, a lot of the times, this is the first time I'm forging this profile. Whenever I get done forging this one, the next one will be even faster, and then the one after that will be even faster. And because you get used to what you need to do to the steel in order to move it where you need to go, and then the next time you forge it, it's easier. All right, grab it again. Okay, so on this one, we're going to come through, we're going to forge the profile down. See, just by that, we're able to narrow it down quite a bit. And all that's going to be the blade is about from here forward. I say all, that's going to be a big blade. But as you start coming back and tapering it back, it's you'll start necking that down quite a bit. Now on this next one, we'll go ahead and I'm probably going to go ahead and flatten it out just a little bit. Now again, the whole entire curve area is the spine. I'm going to be bringing the tip up, and I'm not going to be bringing it up by forging in the bevels. On these particular knobs, I'm not forging the bevels in because I want the real crisp plunge line. I want this. I want that super crisp, deep plunge line right there. I love the way that looks on these EDCs. So that's what I'm going for with this. Nice forge texture up through here. Nice clean bevels. And then that crisp plunge line. This one right here is ready for glue up. I've already sanded and did everything to the front of it. This is a Rich Light right there. One of these is going to, actually the one that you just saw right there, that's going to Mr. Two Bastards Forge. next heat, we'll draw it out again. And it looks fine right there. It's going to look like this, but this is going to go beep and come over a little bit. But on this next heat, I'm going to draw it out a little bit with the cross beam, and then we'll go in and move it over. And of course, I could leave it how it is because it already is blade shape, but I want the grain of that steel to follow the cutting edge. I don't want there to be, because again, this was like cut like this. I don't want this steel and then all the steel that meets this, all the grain that meets this section to get folded into one. I want that straight side to come up and make the cutting edge so that that whole grain just goes all the way up to the tip. 400 for 2 hours twice. Still right at 65. Yep. And it was probably pretty hard. It was probably, upper 60s whenever you quenched it. And then if you tempered it for 4 hours, or 4 hours, but at 400 degrees, and it came back and it's still skating at 65. Goodness. All right, let's stretch her out. One more of those. One more just like that, and then bring the cutting edge back up. And then we'll start forging in that step down from the heel of the blade into the tang. And the cool thing about these is I really could just forge a super rough profile and grind it the rest of the way, but I like getting it about 90% of the way by forging so that I can maximize the amount of steel that I have. Just makes it easier on you and it saves you money. This piece of steel, you wouldn't have been able to even grind out the medium profile with the size of this steel. So you have to forge it in order to get to this point. Of course, I have enough of this leaf spring that I could have just done all stock removal, but I don't want to waste my leaf spring by doing stock removal on it and not being able to maximize that steel. A lot of the size of this came from how thick this knife was, or the steel was. Okay, we're good there. We'll flatten it and move it over on this next heat. I say we'll flatten and move it over. What we're going to do is we're going to move it over and then flatten. So what are y'all's working on this week? What are y'all's projects? You know, I'm working on getting that 12 by 12 set up for a grinding room. That's going to free up a lot of square footage in this shop. So that's going to be a full grinding room. That's what I'm working on. To get everything moved into there to include the 2x42 that's coming in. I'm going to do a review on that for y'all. What's up, Jason? And then I'm just working on getting all these website knives set up and put together. But what are y'all working on this week? What have y'all been working on? Building your 2x72 finally? Heck yeah. Got a donation knife on the go and a custom. Nice. The good news, Jason, is we still have like 35-40 minutes left of this thing, because we are forging a large EDC tonight, and we still have plenty to do, so you got plenty of time to hang out. All right, let's go ahead, shift this tip up. All I'm going to do is come down in here. Go. Starting to get it there. Planish just a little bit. There's not going to be much shift up from this, but on this next heat, it'll come right back to where we need it to be. All right. So is that all y'all got going on? Turn this off for a second. Switch bottles, because this one's getting too cold. But I'm still here. I didn't disappear. We're just swapping the bottle over so that I don't have to worry about all that frost at the bottom of that bottle. So with these smaller bottles, you build up a lot of frost at the bottom of it. There's a lot of propane left in that. The frost line will typically tell you about how much propane you have in the bottle, because it will frost up to where the propane's left in it. But whenever it's cooler outside, it's like outside of the shop, it's like 45, 50 degrees. Inside the shop, it's probably about 75. But I'll let that thaw and defrost inside the shop, and then if I need to switch it back, I can. So let's see here. Oh, y'all, there we go. Doing a craft show this weekend. Got about 30 knives to sell. Heck yeah. Practicing on my first Euro spike knife. That's what I'm talking about. Just saving that for the 2x42. Yep. Hey, that 2x42 is on sale right now for like $260. So, if you want to go get it right now. It's like the least expensive thing that you can buy that looks like a 2x72. 2x42, VFD, tilting, all that stuff. Yeah, mind-boggling. $260-something. Friction folder for a customer, accompanying video to make. Nice. We'll love to tell everyone I'm foraging, but a semblance of knife kits, family members, 3 butcher blocks, arcade, countertop. Nice. Nice. He's gone, y'all. Have the basket weave feather. That basket weave feather is absolutely awesome, by the way. If y'all, I wish that I could share a picture of it to everybody. Steve is making this basket weave feather blade, and it looks absolutely epic. Never to be seen again. Should get 4 to 5 charcuterie boards. Nice. Sometimes we just gotta work around affiliate. Yep. Or Byron. I'm gonna get my propane forge built. I have 2 100-pound tanks for it. Yeah, the 100-pound tanks help a ton. I'll be doing something like that in the future. Not there. Rough blade profile. Now what I'm going to end up doing is knocking in a shoulder on this side, and then we'll end up making that tang look like a tang. Go from there. That's not the final blade profile. It's going to be a little bit different than that, but that's all we need to do right now with it. So I'm going to switch up and hold it from the pointy side. Figure out roughly where we need this blade leaf to be. Perfect. We got a little dip for it already. Toss us a little dent right there. The rest of that's going to be blade. So on this next little bit of forging, we're going to go ahead and forge in that step going from the heel of the blade up into the handle. Just half off, half on blows for there. Guys, house made. Just follow me on Insta. Heck yeah. Brian is absolutely awesome. That dude is an amazing fella. An absolutely amazing fella. Does a lot for the knife community. That's for sure. Having his 2x72 kit, and I'm gonna be real with you, he can sell that kit for a lot more than he sells it for, but he chooses to sell it for a good price. And for a 2x72 that you get, it's just awesome. Absolutely awesome. And the other tools and things that he makes to go with the 2x72, it's just crazy. Absolutely amazing guy right there. And I would always say that if I didn't have my 2x72, I'd be making that 2x72. And I have plans to possibly make one of them. I also want to do either Apollo Forge or do my version of the Apollo Forge, which I think is awesome that he gives out. You can buy the plans to be able to make all the stuff yourself. So you don't have to buy his 2x72 kit. You can actually buy the plans for the kit and then order your own stuff and make it yourself. Or same thing with the forge. You can buy the plans for the forge and make the whole entire forge yourself. So you don't have to spend any money on having him do anything. That guy is awesome. All right. heel started. I'm going to go ahead and draw this out a little bit, cross peel. And again, the whole point behind drawing it out versus using the flat side is using that steel to go that way versus back out this way. If we start using the flat side of our hammer, I would have went ahead and I would have decreased all the work that I just did there. Now we're going to come back in and force that down some more, decrease it a little bit, and then flatten it back out. See what y'all are saying here. Basket weave will have a clear handle to see the feather all the way through the tang. That looks cool. I've seen a few knives like that. Absolutely awesome. Grizzly grinder will take my, yep. That's the goal. Tang forge down. So here's the one thing that I would suggest. If you're going to do clear handles, use black pins. The reason why I say that is sometimes you get discoloration when you drill through clear scales. You get discoloration on the actual holes as they go through. If you use black pins, you'll see just the black pin. You won't see any discoloration of the hole or anything like that. So use black pins. Don't use brass or white or blue or anything like that unless it's a dark blue. But use a very dark pin and it hides anything and it just looks like nice, clean, crisp pinholes. Nice. Got one of the Hammer House made hammers. I thought about getting one of those hammers, and because it's absolutely awesome, and the price on those hammers are absolutely awesome too. Where's everyone spending Thanksgiving? I'm in the U.S. I'll be spending Thanksgiving at my house, making some good food, and I'll be grilling on, let's see, you can see the smoker and the grill. That smoker is going to get put to use. Flip y'all back around. Back to knives, cabinets. Yep. You don't want to have to hand sand the inside of the pinhole. No. Definitely don't want to do that. Alright. Let's bring all this back in together here. Nothing like swinging a 5-pound hammer and then going straight to another hammer. By the way, we're starting to look like a knife. Made that big old bump right here. We just shoved it back in. Looks all goofy, but whenever we start cleaning it up, it'll look good. We just need to go in here, put a little belly. We've already got our arch starting along the spine. So that's looking good. We're just going to bring in that heel section going into the blade or into the handle. We're getting there. This is going to be a sexy looking knife, man. Goodness gracious. That's going to be a good looking blade. Forging our family motto. We put the fun in dysfunctional. Yes. Oh, yes. We've been a little less dysfunctional since I started doing knife digging full time, because now I'm here to make the house look good after my 3 little kids. I've destroyed it. I can correct it the next day, because my daughter decides that she wants to wear 6 outfits a day and play with every single toy that there is in the house 3 times. So you put it up, she pulls it back out, play with it, switches an outfit, grabs another toy, starts playing with that toy, then grabs another toy, plays with those together, and switches outfits again, and then grabs another toy, and then switches another outfit. By the time it's all said and done, it looks like 12 kids were here, and they all got undressed, and then left, or vanished. It looks ridiculous. And then that's my 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old, and my 7-year-old boy. He just stays pretty much in one spot, but he eats like 4 different things at one time, and that stuff should get strung through. Or whenever he gets a drink in a cup, drinks it, cup in the sink, grabs another cup for another drink. It's like, you are allowed to refill the cup. Handle down a little bit more. That brought in quite a bit. Now, I'm really liking the profile of this so far. That is going to be a sexy looking knife. So on this next heat, what we'll do is we'll thin out the handle, create the rest of that arc to it, and this is going to be pretty simple. What I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to come in to the step down from the face of my anvil, the step down before you get to the horn. That is the width of my hand compressed like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in and I'm going to hit down here, and it's going to automatically kind of start giving me a drop, and the little pinky hook, let me grab this, it'll give me this hook that I'm going for right here will start to go into place. That's the chalk sand here. My mom's side of the family is extremely conservative. My dad's brother is in a gay polyamorous relationship. It's great. So yeah, a lot of craziness going on there. Visiting the grandkids for Thanksgiving. Can't wait to spoil them. Yep, that's what grandparents are supposed to do. Sounds like a reality show, Duck. It really does. Dude, that's exactly what a reality show sounds like. I'm pretty sure that's a show that already exists though. On like what is it? On Amazon Prime. Got that flat, a little notch right there. That's what's going to become that hook around the pinky. So we're going to go ahead, do that again, pinch that area because this handle comes back to a taper, like that right there. Comes back to a taper. So we're going to pinch it some more right here. The difference between that handle and this one is this hook comes back just a hair and the handle itself comes back a little bit further. So it's going to come out just a little bit further than this, give you just a little bit more of a hook around, especially for the size of the blade. So if you need to swing at something, chop at something, you can. Grab it. Down some more. Before I get too crazy with that, I need to go ahead and, now that I'm thinking about it, I need to go through and stretch this out some more. Because as we start flattening this, that area is going to go back even further. So if I had just went from there, my handle would have been too long. Back in. Basically what I'm doing right now is I'm going through and I'm going to flatten the tang to roughly its finished thickness, and then I'll step that area down. So if I do it now, whenever I go and I flatten that handle, that tang out, it would shift that section back about 3/4 of an inch. I'm not trying to make it too big of a handle now. Gotta get up early. It's awesome seeing you or talking to you, Steve. And I'll hear from you in the morning. So we're gonna dig your family crest, coat of arms for the Viking. Dude, could you imagine that that as a coat of arms, everything that he said was going on in his family? Just having all that on a shield. That would be an interesting coat of arms. It's awesome seeing you, Byron. Let's see. Thanks for the last. I'm not kidding. That would be an interesting crest. You could try and explain everything that you said right there in a coat of arms. Maybe something else. Oh. I'm so happy that it's nice and cool outside right now. And I'm happy that I decided against doing the grinding room on the outside of the shop on my pad here, because being able to put the forge outside makes it way more bearable in the shop. So you know when a cat or something sees itself in the mirror, it gets super pissed. Yep. It thinks itself is trying to fight itself. Chill with some of that. Eventually, I know my neighbors are going to be like, what the heck is he doing? 8:52 here. We've got to get this profile finished out in the next like 10-15 minutes, so that I'm not waking everybody up. Nobody complains about this, but you also don't want to be a butthead, you know what I mean? That's what I'm imagining for the crest. Not sure how to make it look like a crest though. Oh, it's easy. It's easy. All you got to do is have the mirror be the center of the crest. Have the cat looking at itself, the cat looking at itself, and it's doing the same thing. Just make sure you put like a spot on the cat so the spot's the same thing. And then make the coat of arms something about a cat seeing itself in the mirror. Okay. Flatten it the rest of the way. Trying to even out the thickness before I fold it down some more. Okay, now we have our thickness correct. So if you can see this, I wish you could see it down here, but when I first forged this and I put that notch in, I'm showing you like this. That's how far away I am. That notch is right here. So this is where the notch would be now if I start doing that. Almost an inch of difference just by stretching that tang out. So if I would have went through and made that hook that's going to go around your pinky, and then I would have flattened it, that hook would have been all the way out here, outside of your hand. Wouldn't have really been very useful. So that's a step that you got to get used to, because the last thing you want to do is forge that out, forge it down, get it flat, get everything where you want it to be, and then look at it and go, well, now I'm too narrow in that area. I can't get that flare back if you don't do the steps in the right order. It screws you up. Alright, we're just waiting for it to heat back up, and then we're going to go ahead back on the step down again and forge that hook in and taper that handle down. So what I'm going to do first is we'll bring y'all down here just a little bit. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to start drawing that taper in. So I'm going to start tapering the tang back before we do the hook. And then we're going to do the hook last. So again, we don't end up shifting the hook too far back again. Okay, I went ahead and put a second notch in it. That's what I'm talking about. Second notch, original notch. That's how much longer we got. So now we're going to forge that down, flatten it, forge it down, flatten it, forge it down, flatten it. I'm not trying to draw out any extra length out of it, so don't really need to do that. And it'll be good. And the nice thing is, what happens is, whenever we upset the area here, when we upset this, that's going to make this width super wide. And what I'll end up doing with this area that comes out width-wise, because we're pressing in here, I'll end up taking all that material and drawing this out with it. So I'm going to use my cross peen and the rounding side of my hammer, and I'm just going to pull that down, utilizing the steel that gets upset for making that notch. You can see it on the other side right here, where it gets fat. That's that upset. Rounding side of the hammer on the spine. That's going to do is start giving me that arch or arc, because I'm stretching the spine. So where you make that kind of like that I-beam, I'm using the spine to draw it back this way. I'll be using the belly to make the hook. And this is going to be a nice profile. I'm surprised that I'm still in the screen, because I lowered that like 10, 11 inches. Let's see here. So Eric, who do you use to host your website? Started working on a site. Using Square today. Okay, so I use Shopify, easiest website to use. Shopify is a cakewalk. Once you get used to, it's nice because you can go in and you can kind of adjust the website while looking at the website, and it tells you where to input words. You can use templates from them and all that stuff. And whenever you upload your knife into the system, it will automatically add it and whatever description you put, and then the taxes and all that stuff. I really like Shopify. I've been using it for over a year. Planish a little bit. We're going to heat that back up, get that hook brought back down, and tang will be done. So we can go ahead, finish our profile on the blade, planish the blade, then we'll planish the tang back away from the blade, and we will be done. Whew. On 2%, and I need to get up for school in 8 hours. Good night, Doug. Whew. Man, I'm gonna really like this profile. This is how I love doing it, man, because I had a rough idea of what I wanted this to be, and this is gonna look good. Okay. Good there. We're going to go ahead and drop that end of this tang down. So before I do anything else, I want y'all to see that we were able to drop it down. Now, I'm going to let's go ahead and use the cross beam. Shift that material back a little bit, rounding side. Flat side. This next heat, on the next heat, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the rounding side, and I'm going to shove all of this area down. What I might do is I might actually use the cross beam first, but this is going to be the area that I'm going to remove. So I'm going to use the area that I'm going to remove to shift that area down, and it will be good. I love stuff like this. I really like this profile. I don't know how many times I can say that without y'all understanding that I like this profile. All right. Grab you. There we go. So flared it out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to forge at an angle from the, we're going to forge, if there's the butt of the handle, and that big old fat piece is right here, we're going to forge this way. We're going to come in and we're going to forge it back. And that's going to do is all that area that I just tapered, it's going to fatten it back out. Fattening it down, bringing it back. Basically, we're just upsetting a lot of steel, pulling it back towards us. Hammer it in, flatten it, hammer it in, flatten it, hammer it in, flatten it, and we're going to get the area to where we want. That way, I don't really have to cut off a bunch or grind off a bunch. If I can go ahead and get the back side of this forged roughly to where I want it, that just means less steel that I got to get rid of. One more time. Sure. The butt of it's not going to look like that. I am going to take it probably about 1/4 inch to 1/2 inch off of that. But I did want the handle to come back quite a bit. I'll probably take 1/2 inch off of that. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and forge this little hinky choil, if you want to call it that, just a hair more, and we should be good there. Now we have plenty of drop down right here to work with however the heck we want to. So now we can go ahead, clean up our blade profile. And again, I want y'all to see this. This is why I keep saying I love this blade profile. Like that is an absolute awesome. Now, of course, about half an inch is coming off of this back section. But that is a sexy looking blade profile. Now we'll come in, we'll clean up the blade, planish it, like I said, then we'll planish the tang back in from the blade. We'll call it good. I'll tell you, doing a lot of stuff like this is what builds up my confidence for whenever I do get to go on Forged in Fire. Like being able to forge a profile and do all that stuff in a short period of time, especially with this being the first time I've forged this particular profile. I just think that that's absolutely awesome, and it definitely makes my confidence go up a little bit. But being able to forge, because I've forged so many different profiles and so many different types of knives at this point that I feel like I can do it. Whenever I get my my press and I get a chance to do more Damascus, that'll be build my confidence a little bit more. So again, what we're about to do is clean up the blade and the profile on it just a little bit, and go ahead and planish it. I'm just bringing it up to temp right now. Yeah, I feel like I can, Mr. Matt. What are you working on right now, Matt? Are you out in your shop, or are you putting kiddos to bed? All right. Planishing, we're doing that a little bit cooler heat. I need to come down a little bit thinner. You can see right here, that little strip right there, that is a low spot. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to come in and forge this whole entire outside area down just a little bit to get rid of that flat spot. There's not much of one on this side. There's a little bit right here. So we just need to get those two areas down, and we will be to the thickness that we need to be able to planish out that tank. So playing with ABL. And then got the new 2x42 in pieces. So do you have it, are you putting it together, or are you just dissecting it so you can see what you can modify on it? There's some ABL, but no oven. Luckily, a buddy at work, just a lot of even heat. Yep. So Jeff, you might talk to Matt, because he's doing the ABL and doing it in foil and oil punching it. Now, of course, he has a heat treat oven, so that's helpful. Dissected to see what I can modify. Yep. I know you posted a bunch of stuff in the WhatsApp thing, so I'm going to look at that. I'm going to look at that whenever I go back inside and start chilling. Alright. We're going to use the rounding side of the hammer and go all the way around the edge. Flatten it down. Basically what I'll do is I'll go in, rounding side, and I'll put all of these deeper dents in it. And then what I'll do, you can see that this area already got smaller right there. So whenever I flatten those out, that center section will be gone. That's just using the round side of this hammer all around it. Now my rounding hammer is a little bit different than what y'all are going to have. A rounding hammer has a huge face. Okay? So me doing this is slightly different than what you're going to do. Your flat side of your hammer will probably be just fine. Or if you've got a big ball peen hammer, you can use that. But a lot of the rounding hammers that you're typically going to see are going to have a small face like this. You start hitting that like that with this face, it's going to put a lot of really small dents. These are really broad dents. Okay? It's a big hammer. It's what 5 pounds look like. People see the side profile and they think that this hammer is not that heavy until you do this. Big hammer. Big boy hammer. So you can see some video on that. Then data for a day with the plate. And then go ice skating at 65. Yep. Alright, now flat side. Here, flat end bill. Okay, blade's looking good. Now I just need to go through and planish the tang to match the thickness of the blade. So this is a good uniform thickness. You can see we're a little bit wider right there around my forehead. A little bit wider here. We're going to planish that in smooth. Straighten the whole entire thing up. Call this bad boy done. Wondering, that plate, that profile doesn't look a ton larger than this one, but I'm betting that overall length it's about 2 inches, easily longer than this. Yeah, easily 2 inches longer. So what we're going to do is we're going to flatten the tang a little bit. We're not going to have it glowing hot. We're going to have it at a nice medium to high heat, probably about 1700, 1700 degrees, and then go ahead and between 1500 and 1600 degrees, and then start flattening it. The whole point behind flattening it at this heat is you don't want a ton of movement in the steel. Where's my big old hammer go? We just want to flatten. That's something that y'all will learn as you forge if you don't already know it. You use a high heat to move steel, a lower heat to flatten steel. You don't want to sit there and grind out a whole bunch of dents. Do a low heat. Whenever you're planishing. You don't want a ton of heat in it, like I said. What'll end up happening is you'll accidentally put a big dent in it, and that big dent is going to either make you forge it thinner, or it's going to make you grind off a whole bunch. Heat that back up. Get after it with a little planishing hammer, a little old auto body hammer. This little, I'm assuming that this is probably about pound and a quarter. You can swing that a lot of times real fast. This will be the last bit of planishing on the tang. Then we'll planish the blade, and we will be done with this profile. Again, low heat on this one. See what I mean? Just a little bit. Tang looks good. Go ahead and planish the blade. So tang looks good. We'll planish the blade and get that done. Oh. Then I'm real ready to have this other shop set up. I want to be able to take everything off this wall. I want to take everything off this wall and then cut a hole in it and make a doorway that goes from this shop into the other shop. Do I ever forge bevels? A lot of my knives. Pretty much everything that's not this batch of knives that are going on my website, all of them all have forged bevels. I'm doing this for a specific reason. I want really deep plunge lines. I'll show you so you can actually see it. I'll show you two knives. So this one right here is what I'm going for. I want a deep plunge line going into these blades. This is the smallest version of the knife that I just got done forging. That's the smallest version. There's a medium size, but yeah, like a blade like this, that's a forged integral. The bevels were forged in. All I did was cleaned up a little bit, but that integral bolster, everything that's on there, that's all forged. The handle, everything that you see here, the whole entire heel of that is all forged. Everything on this, full integral steak knife, all forged with just a little bit of bevel grinding. And that whole entire blade is forged all the way down. You can see the forged texture all the way to the tip. That whole entire distal that was forged in there was all forged in. So I typically do mostly forging. I've only been doing this for this particular batch. Having a rough time getting the profile I want while forging the bevels. So I'll tell you this, if you're going to forge in the bevels, the biggest thing is getting used to your preform. If you can get used to your preform, forging in your bevels is going to be a lot easier and keeping your profile. So what you need to do, that is way too hot and you let this cool down. We're not going to planish with that much heat in it. So you need to get your preform set up so that whenever you start forging in your bevels, you'll be able to clean it up. But I'll tell you this, if you're going to forge in the bevels, don't worry about just grinding a little bit of the profile off. If you watch Neil Cummemore do his, he'll forge in his bevels and things like that, and then he'll go and he'll grind the rest of his profile in. So don't be afraid to go ahead and grind some of your profile. Unless you're literally trying to do a forge to finish project, then you need to really work on your preforms. All we're doing right now is planishing and straightening. Lower heat, so that the hammer strikes just smooth, they don't put a bunch of dents. And I can planish with a 5-pound hammer, but why? Just do this and save my elbow a little bit. Profile good, nice and straight. Nice and straight. Nice and straight. Profile looking good. And let's go ahead and take a look at this whole entire profile here. Now, of course, about ½ an inch is coming off the butt of the handle, but just so y'all can see the actual profile. That right there, like I said, this section here is going to come off. It's still going to sweep up at an angle, but that's going to come off about right there. About right there. Here. There we go. Got that nice arch to the spine. We got the flatter handle that I was looking for. Nice subtle upsweep. Nice drop to it. Right there. And again, the whole point behind this was to make a larger version of this blade right here. So to make a larger version of that. And we were able to get it all forged out. So all I got to do is just a little bit of stock removal. to get the profile where we want it. Got it nice and straight. That's what we're going for right there. That way we maximize the amount of steel. Now, I'm going to give you all the measurements of this here in just a second here. So let's put it down real quick. So let's see, because I have the piece that I cut it out of. Let's see if I can find the tape measure. Where did I put that? Right here. All right. So we have a blade that is right at 5 3/4 inches long. We're going to have a handle that's right at 5 1/4 inches long. All right. So we're 11 inches long. And the piece that I cut out, okay, the piece that I cut out, I'm just going to show it to y'all real quick so that y'all can see it. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to pull this piece of steel out. Kind of have to unbury it a little bit. Okay. So, you can see the cut here and the angle cut right there. I want y'all to know, okay, let's check this out. So, the long side, which became the belly of it, or which became the cutting edge and the bottom of the handle, that was 7 1/4 inches long. The short side was right at about 5 inches. So the short side was 5 inches. The long side was about 7.5 inches, and we were able to get overall length without the stuff I'm going to cut out, 12 1/4 inches. So we went from a piece of steel that was 7.5 inches to 12 1/4. So that is not bad. Let's get that whole entire profile out of that piece that we started with at the beginning there. There's no way on planet Earth that you would have been able to do that with stock removal. That's not that stock removal is not good. But if you're trying to maximize the amount of steel that you have and be able to do this for a living, it helps to be able to forge it. I'll tell you this. I'm not one of those guys that is a forged purist or something like that. I'm doing this because I'm trying to save money, because I'm doing this full time, and all the material I have, it has a monetary value on it to be able to pay a bill. What I've got it going right now, I've got it in the forge. I'm going to bring it up to 1600 degrees and let it cool inside the forge to anneal it. Every single time I forge one of these knives, I go through and I do an annealing step after the forging process to relax the steel, so that for all the rest of the stuff I'm going to do to it, it's just nice and smooth, soft, normal steel. It's basically the same thing as a normalizing step, except for an annealing step, you keep it inside the forge, so it cools down with the forge really slow, or you put it in vermiculite and it cools inside the vermiculite real slow, or you do a normalizing cycle, which is up to 1600, and then you let it cool outside the forge a little bit faster. And your normalizing step is the first step in your thermal cycling or your grain refinement cycles. But yeah, right now we got it in there. We're going to bring it up. Got the forge turned down just a little bit. If y'all remember, whenever I first started this, it was spitting out like an orange flame. Now we got it to where it's a little bit cooler, and we're good. So again, like I was saying, the reason why I do the forging, because these are like a 70% forged, 30% stock removal, because I'll clean up the profile a little bit on the 2x72, take about a 1/16 of an inch off the whole entire profile, and then I'll go through and I will grind in the bevels so that I get that nice deep plunge line like that right there. And I get that transition between the forged texture and the crisp bevels. And then that's all I do. I mean, it's just forging it, getting the profile good, getting it flat, and then going through and making 3 more of them, because there's gonna be a total of 4 of these. I'll make 3 more. And the cool thing is I went deep on this piece that I cut, so that whenever I cut out the other 3 pieces, I can cut out the same exact amount of this right here. This is an old Ford leaf spring. I love this particular steel, partially because the ends are tapered. So the ends have a distal taper built into them. So if I'm forging something that's going to need a distal taper, all I got to do is just keep that distal taper going. And it makes your life a little bit easier. Whew. Okay, we're going to go ahead and block this off. So, brought it up to temp, shut it off, go ahead, block it off. Let's use this one. Yeah. Just like that. And then all I'm going to do is take and put it back into its resting place. So this is why I keep everything on wheels. Take this bad boy, shift it in here. And put it away for the rest of the night. And then basically that gets my doorway cleared up. And then all I'll do here is I'll go ahead, take my anvil, all my hammers back. Here. I've got a couple more hammers coming from 2 Bastards. And one's a dog head hammer. Really excited about that one. And then I got another hammer coming from him. Go ahead. Put that anvil away. Now I've got all my floor space back. Everything is pushed away. So main anvil, V4 anvil, one of my large quench tanks, and then the forge. Now, one of the things that I'm going to be doing moving forward, again, show y'all this. This whole entire workstation right here, 2x72, drill press, Fordham, which is basically a fancy term for Dremel, and porta bandsaw. All of this stuff is going back into the shop that's behind me right here. I'm going to be cutting a doorway into this, and that whole entire shop's going to be a grinding room. So, this whole entire shop right here, that whole entire thing is going to end up being my grinding room. Already got this section of workbench. There's going to be another workbench that comes over here. And I'm going to have all the grinders and everything all inside this 12x12. And then I'm going to have a doorway, like I said, on this wall going down into the main shop. And thank you, Eric, for saying that. I built this whole entire thing. Everything that you see here, I built it with my own 2 hands. Added it onto the 12x12 that I used to use. There used to just be an 11x11 in this spot here. So there used to just be 11x11. Now I have a 14x16. And it works out real well. And then you go all the way outside. I got to finish painting this thing. I've got a 8-foot by 14-foot pad out front. Random shopping cart that was in my alley. So, works out real well. Nice and bright in there too. That's one of the things that I like. But, yeah. I built this on the channel too, so if you want to see how I built it, you can. So yeah, we're doing good in here. We got everything kind of set up. Said earlier, I got that rack in here. I got a few more things put up. So y'all can see some of the EDCs that I'm working on right now. Those are the smalls. These are the mediums. Well, smalls. These are camp knives. Those are the mediums. And then I've got a couple of new profiles right here. That's one of the new profiles that I'm working on. That is going to be a beautiful blade. Those are thick old EDC RB2s. So I've got a couple of these. And then of course, I've got more EDCs right here. Those are all double and triple stacked. But yeah, we are doing pretty good in here. We got a lot of stuff happening. You know, I'm trying to up the production of my knives. That way I can go ahead and, you know, the more you create, the more you can go ahead and make a living off of it. And it definitely helps out. You know, one of the things that I had to transition from being a YouTuber that makes knives to a knife maker that does YouTube was thinking about production, thinking about not production like quality of video, but production on being able to produce more knives so that let's say I need to go to a blade show or a knife show or something like that. I need to be able to take an inventory of like 50 knives with me to that show to be able to display them, sell them, make a living. I need to have knives on my website, you know, so that I can sell them, all that stuff. I had to think through all of that. That's the reason why I'm doing the grinding room. And I'm going to show y'all what I'm doing with that. I'm going to be doing a review on a grinder that's coming in. So it's one that a lot of people are going to be buying, and I'm going to be talking about ways to modify it and things like that. So y'all are going to be looking out for that. It's a 2x42 Grizzly, and then of course other things. One of the things I'm going to be doing that I think y'all are going to really like, because I don't think he actually built anything for it on his channel. So again, real quick, don't go anywhere. I'm still here. I'm going to show y'all a regular length belt. Okay, this right here is a regular length 2x72 belt. I'm going to build a grinder out of my current KMG, this one that's right here. I'm going to build a grinder that uses, I don't know if y'all have ever seen these. Regular belt, big belt, regular belt, big belt. I got a huge stack of these. These are all 36 grits. Look at the size difference. So I'm going to build a grinder that uses these belts. And I'm going to do that on the channel. Show y'all how I do it. Ugh. So I'm going to be using, like I said, this 2x72. That's going to go basically down onto the floor and bolt into the floor of this shop. And it's going to have a stand that comes up. It's going to have a like 14-inch contact wheel with a work rest. That's what I'm going to use to remove a lot of material. So whenever I'm going through and I'm grinding things out and getting rid of material, it's going to be them big old bad boys right there and this grinder right here. So if you ever watched Blackbeard Projects, he's got this grinder that uses ridiculously long belts. He's got a big old contact wheel, and that's what he used to grind all the material when he's grinding profiles and things like that. That's what's going to happen. So I think I'm going to have a couple of 2x42s from Grizzly to do most of my normal things, and then I'll use the big boy to be able to grind a lot of the removal material and stuff like that. And I think it's going to work out real well, because if y'all have ever used a contact wheel like that right there, the material gets removed way faster than if you're using your platen right here. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. Starting to love doing DIY projects. Yeah, myself and Matt are going to be collabing on this whole 2x42 thing and trying to get ideas together for ways to modify it. He's already got his taken apart and is looking at everything and all that. We'll be talking tomorrow and kind of getting game plans of what we're going to do to modify that 2x42. But yeah, that's those right there. I've had those for a little while. And the cool thing is, this was an accidental thing. So I ordered from, these are all VSM belts. I ordered belts from a local place, and I got a whole bunch of these guys right here. Same company, all VSMs. They accidentally sent these and that ridiculous length, and they were marked as 2x72 belts. And I got those. Think about this, okay? I got these ridiculously long VSM belts for 97 cents a piece. Think about that. 97 cents per belt. If you go right now to like Phoenix Abrasives or Combat Abrasives or anybody that sells abrasives, especially ones like these right here, these purple belts, those are $5 a piece. If you look at normal belts, they're like $3, $4, sometimes $5 a piece. 97 cents. I got a stack of them. So I'm just like, I'm just going to build a grinder to be able to use them. The cool thing about the length of your belt, so whenever you use it at 1x30, that belt gets hot really quick because it doesn't have enough time for the revolution to come around to cool down. Once you jump up to a 2x42, the belt gets to cool down a little bit more because of how long it takes for rotation. Whenever you go up to 2x48, a little bit longer, so a little bit cooler. You go to a 2x72, longer rotation, even cooler. That right there, those belts are going to stay cool because they're going to have so much room to cool down. It's going to be awesome. Whew. Okay, we have been doing this for 2 hours and 20 minutes. We're going to wrap this thing up. And you guys are going to like those 2x42, especially if you're crafty. Yep. Guys, I'm going to go inside, try and get some sleep. I bet my kiddos are getting ready to go down. My kids go to sleep late. It's 9:48 here. I'm sorry, neighbors, if I foraged for too long. We had some fun, you know. Y'all make these lives an absolute blast. I really, really like doing them. And, you know, I'm trying to do something slightly different than what a lot of people are doing. And just being able to communicate with y'all as we do these. And I think that this is the way to do it. So thank you for coming around, Eric. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, other Jeff. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody that participated in the comment section, chatted, and talked. And guys, y'all have a good night too, okay? Have a good night. Stay safe out there. And I'll catch y'all next time. See y'all.